I just finished responding to all the comments on my Should You Pull Garvall and Elsirelle video, and I thought to myself, I'm not done talking about these units. I have more to share, and I also want to show some of the insightful comments from you, the viewers. So we're making another video. I'm going to talk about my plans for the banner and some things that maybe might help you decide whether or not you should pull, but it's not going to be like a full Should You Pull video. So the first thing we should talk about are the banners, because we just don't know exactly what we're going to get. Now, there's been a few precedents set in the past, and the first is taking a look at JP. And as people let me know in the comments, in JP they had the classic, okay, here are the two banner units on a paid step up, and at the very last step, it's a 50-50 chance to get one or the other. Now, for most people, this is not ideal because you probably want Garvall. But if you want either of these units, then, I mean, this is a pretty good chance to get them. Now, you're not necessarily going to be a spender, so that might not even be in the realm of possibility for you. And I don't always mention the paid banners because I know that's not really something that is like most people can identify with. I personally didn't spend on paid banners until recently, and I don't really spend, to be honest. Like I buy guaranteed things. I buy select tickets. I buy some like really good like Black Friday deals or whatever it is, but I'm not a regular spender in the game, although I'm starting to get up there with my purchases. But besides that, we have other things that we might get. For example, the 9-step up banners, and those are insane. Like if there's a 9-step up banner, I might pull for it. It really depends on a few things. So for example, which other units would be on the 9-step up. So for example, let's say for the Elsirelle 9-step up, there's going to be her and Rob and Sakura and then some other light unit, and you have a chance of getting 300 shards of any of them on the step up. I would probably pull for that because Elsirelle would be great. Sakura would be amazing. Rob would be okay, but I'm not done him. And then, you know, that's pretty good chances. Now, if it were a different set of units and I had all of those units maxed, I would probably pass at that point because the Mog medals are very useful, but I don't want to be collecting Mog medals for Visior right now, and I don't necessarily need to pull Elsirelle right away or Garvall right away. So it kind of depends on what other units are on the banner, and let's say I pulled the 9-step up. Let's say I didn't get Elsirelle or I didn't get Garvall. That would be fine. If I got their shards, that would be excellent. And then maybe I can pull them later on in the future on one of the new banners. Maybe I can get a select ticket and get them when I want, but I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole trying to pull them with my hard-earned Visior. I'm just going to be collecting sure things like shards for these different units that maybe would be on a 9-step if we were lucky to get one. So that leads us into another option that you have for your account. If you really want Elsirelle, you really want Garvall, but you don't think you could pull them right now, you could still invest in their shards, and that's like one of those cabbage things that you could do. You could buy the 120 shard pack in the shop. You could whimsy farm and do some shard farming that way, but those are guaranteed things. You can get those shards, you know how much it's going to cost you, you can set a budget, and you will know exactly what you're getting. Whereas if you're going to pull on the banner and you don't pull the unit for a long time, you're just spending a ton of Visior, and you want that Visior short term for the 1-year anniversary. So maybe set yourself a budget of, let's say, 5,000, 6,000 Visior, and then go spend that on shards, and then just be okay with knowing that you're going to get these units eventually, especially if you're a spender, you're going to get them on select tickets or something like that. Now, of course, there are disadvantages to that. For example, the bingo boards and challenge missions that we're going to be getting will give you a bunch of free shards and awakening materials, and that's always really nice to get. The bonus JP, all that type of thing, stuff that you want to do for a new unit. But at the same time, you have to weigh those decisions yourself. That only you can do that, and there's definitely other options to consider than just pulling or not pulling. So that's something that I want everyone to consider if you have your eye on one of these units. Alright, so I think that covers everything I wanted to say about pulling on the banners, and now I want to talk about a few of the comments that were really insightful or super useful or made me think of things that I wanted to talk about for this banner. So the first one is from Karu Hart, and they said that Garvall is great, the perfect unit to use in Guild War offense right now, targeting evade units. And then also things like, Dinglebert, Wall, even Agrius would probably go down to Garvall pretty easily. And I think this is a really good point for a couple of reasons, that a lot of people might be in the same position as me, where you don't have 100% hit attacks very easily accessible. Maybe you're having a hard time in guild battle right now because there's so much of the HLL teams with Kane, with Wall, with Agrius, with Sakura, and you just can't break through. Well, maybe this is the unit that's going to do that for you, and that might be like a really key thing to you pulling, is to get this unit that can literally do so many things for your account. So definitely something to consider. Next, let's hear from Shirley RPG. So Shirley is talking about all the characters are interesting, but there's a negative side to think about with characters that just came out. They're typically going to have a longer wait until they get EX. Now, in the case of Garvall, this doesn't really matter. I said Garvall because he's still good at 99 in JP right now, so we don't have to worry about how he's going to age as well. But somebody like Elsirelle, we don't know when she's going to get her EX job. So when you think about pulling, think about how long it might be until they get their EX jobs, but then you can also think about how that EX job might round out a unit. One of the most common things that people talk about in the comments is that they're going to save for Yuna, and Yuna is a big part of their plan. Now, Sebastian Miranda here says that if you're going to go for that Yuna path, then Elsirelle is actually pretty good for your account. So for what we have seen, she is a member of the Light Waifus team. That's the Yuna, Sakura, and Elsirelle team, and they're pretty dangerous together. They sort of counter the Men in Black, which is the Dwayne, Kane, and Stern team, and maybe Garvall as well, and Venera, and some other units. And that's a really good point. If you have Sakura and Yuna that are just destroying everybody, and then you could even do in mirror matches, you have Elsirelle set up to just be a magic tank, but she's still giving that light buff to everybody. She's still giving missile and pierce buffs to everybody to fight against Kane, to fight against your missile teams, whatever it is. Winter Victoria is going to be a big part of the meta, so that's pretty appealing. If you think that you can counter these teams and then get that light buff to your Yuna, well, maybe you should be pulling for Elsirelle. Okay, here we go. Prodigy, the man himself, my guild master, my boss, and friend of the channel, has reached out to say, one thought about Elsirelle, you might be able to get away with giving her Rune Blade 8% slash resist. That's a really good idea, and I didn't even think about that. So that's going to free you up to have lots of options. And now I really like to think about when you have a unit in a role, it's their job to fill that role. So if Elsirelle is going to be a tank, her job isn't to deal damage. And yes, bruisers are fun, but if you really wanted to focus on that, you could give her 8% slash resist from the Rune Blade, and then you could put on something like a armor to the Bale, the Pierce armor from the Final Fantasy 14 raid. You could do something like an Elf Cloak for the Pierce resist. Now you're stacking a couple of resists, and you have some sort of TMR that does whatever you want it to do, then that could be kind of cool. And you don't necessarily have to think about the damage that a golden blade would give you, and then that makes you feel less bad about using dual gunner sub because you're not worried about that slash attack not going to use with the dual gunner skills. So this is definitely going to be a very interesting way to build Elsirelle if you have access to a rune blade. Now let's hear from Edward P, who says both units look fun to have, but with the 1 year so close, I think as long as they're not limited, I'm going to get them at a later date. So this is what we're talking about. Unless there's a step up or something that's really, really good, just get them later. Now, he says, I'm not sensing a Raldor level of excitement though, so will Mysidia pull? That's a really good question, and I'm going to answer that question right now. I'm probably not going to pull, even though both units are great and Garvall will definitely improve my account. I think, like I said, I'm going to do a 9 step up depending on who's on it. And then depending on how that goes, I might pick up some shards, but my main plan right now is to save up for a while. I want to pull King Mont. I want him for my fire team. I want a true tank, not these like half tanks or these bruisers. And I might build some free units along the way, maybe Titus or whatever. We'll see. But that's kind of my plan at this moment. And I think that's going to be all. So thank you guys for watching my last video and for watching this one and for all the comments. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely try to get into the comments here and respond to everybody. And I also want to hear how you're doing on your pull. So you have to report back to me and let me know that you pulled and how that went and everything. Even if it's salty, you can be salty to me. Don't worry. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to support you. Okay. And I'll be sure if I do any sort of pull video for the 9-step, that will be up there on the channel on Wednesday. And then otherwise, good luck to everybody with their pulls. Good luck if you're saving, and we'll talk to you soon.